Welcome back to the best division in football with your boys Authentic and the Beard, the best television show not on TV. The season is starting to progress, y'all. We got 2 weeks in the books. You got 10 teams right now that are 2-0, at least one undefeated team in each division. Not our New York Giants. You got 10 teams that are currently 0-2 right now. Titans, Jets, Saints, Panthers, Browns, Texans, Dolphins, Bears, Chiefs, a little bit surprising there, and our New York Giants. They say that there is a lot of parity when the years change from year to year in the NFL, but it seems like a lot of the teams that were bad last year that were picking at the top of the draft are bad this year to currently start off the year and might be picking at the top of the draft when we get to 2026. 17 games, y'all, have been decided by a touchdown or less. That is the most after 2 games in 12 seasons, y'all. This week, we got some great matchups in the NFC East that I'm looking forward to. A couple of winnable games for some of these teams here. You got the Raiders taking on the Commanders. You got the Los Angeles Rams and the Philadelphia Eagles, who are going to be in a divisional rematch from last season. Dallas Cowboys taking on Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears, and the Kansas City Chiefs are coming up to MetLife to take on the New York Giants. Both teams staring at an 0-3 start, and only 6 teams have ever started out 0-3 and made it to the playoffs. The last team to do it was in 2018, the Houston Texans, and before that, it was Barry Sanders and the 1995 Detroit Lions. So whoever loses this game on Sunday Night Football, I might add, a primetime matchup, is definitely going to be in trouble. But we got a lot to talk about today, mainly focusing on the New York Giants game against the Kansas City Chiefs and the Commanders taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. So without further ado, man, let me welcome in the best co-host in the country one time. Big shout out to my Dukes. The Beard is in the building. What's going on, brother?
Nothing much, just recovering. Watching the tickers here of sports news, waiting to see if there's anything popping off here with my guy JD5. It was a rough week for Authentic in the Beard. Both of us lost. You guys are a little bit of a different loss. It was a heartbreaking loss, and It was one that could have maybe ignited some playoff hope in your season, whereas the Commanders lost, and it was like death to life,
I noticed that on social media. Like, it's crazy how from week to week fans can be so, for lack of a better term, fickle, right? Like, we're talking about a good team.
That's a good term. I like that. I like that. It's a good term.
We're talking about a good team here in the Washington Commanders, lost to another good team, a team that is looking like they are making the right push towards trying to get another trophy in that case, and I just think that's one of those games that each team going up against each other was facing a really solid team. So if you come out of that game on Thursday Night Football with a loss, not too bad. But, man, I've been seeing the finger being pointed at a lot of different people on Commanders' social media.
Oh, my God. Everybody hates Cliff Kingsbury again. That's for damn sure,
right.
And it's just like this is the thing, too, is at this point in the season, right, it's a lot of like, so this team played that team. What does that say about this team? And what does that say about that team? Sort of scenario, right? Because, the Giants played the Commanders week 1. Giants looked awful, right? The Giants played the Cowboys, and they look like a powerhouse team offensively, right?
Yeah.
So what does that say about Dallas? How bad is Dallas's defense?
I think we know, man, and that's been the theme I've been saying since week 1, that they kind of remind me of like more what y'all should have been in 2024, because y'all defense really held it down considering I don't want to say the lack of personnel, but just the expectation for the personnel that y'all had. You guys lived up to that and more and beyond. The Dallas Cowboys offensively, scoring points, but even still, you look at week 1, a lot of drops, a lot of mistakes, and ultimately ends up resulting in a loss for the Dallas Cowboys. And then you come out here against a New York Giants team that not a lot of people thought was going to score a lot of points or even really be in that game, myself included. And you kind of struggle on your way to a victory where you score 40 points and the Giants scored 37. So that is interesting.
It's very interesting. And then you have a team like the Green Bay Packers, right? So it's like the Green Bay Packers, first week against the Detroit Lions, shut the Lions down.
Yeah.
And then the Lions
made us think the Lions were maybe a little fugazi coming into the year,
they
right?
lost both their coordinators. What are we going to do? And then they go up and they put up 50 burger in Chicago, right?
Sounds like Philly last year, kind of, with the coordinators being lost.
And then you see the Commanders go up against the Packers, and it's like, I think the most disheartening thing for Commanders fans is these are the games that you want to see leaving in the win column as opposed to last year, because last year it was like, oh well, you beat the teams you're supposed to beat, but when you play the better teams, you're losing, and it's not like you're getting you're losing by 30 points or 20 points, right? Like all those games we lost last year, the Ravens, the Steelers, you were all those games were winnable games. I hate to use that term too loosely, but they were winnable games, right? And even in this game, like you were getting dominated. And it was a one-score possession game at the end, towards the end of the game. So, it was just the Green Bay Packers are really good. I will go out on a limb right now and say I think that the Green Bay Packers might be the best team in the NFL through 2 weeks.
A lot of people have been saying that on national media, and I've been seeing that on some of the bigger networks, people speaking about that as well. I mean, I thought they did a great job in adding to their roster. I thought you guys did a great job in adding to your roster. I mean, imagine where the Commanders would be today without Deebo Samuel right now, right?
Oh
like he is really making that offense go. And to your point that you were talking about right there, like those are the games, right? That Green Bay Packers versus Commanders game. Those are the games that didn't allow y'all to get to where y'all wanted to go last season. So I do understand that sentiment of wanting to win those big games, because that will take the Commanders from being just a not barely, just an above average ball club to being one of the elite teams in the NFL right now.
Yeah, and the other thing is too, it's like, we're not in a business. Well, I say that as if we play. I mean, I know I have trophies over here and everything, but we're not in a business technically of moral victories, right? But in some sense, like there's some loss. These losses have done something for our teams, I think, right? So for me, for example, for the Commanders, I think this loss is a very humbling moment. It's a wake up call, a back to reality sort of situation, to like really look in the mirror and be like, okay, these are the things that we are not doing right now against a great team, and we need to fix these now before we get deep into the season. Because you lose a game like that in the middle of the season, you lose a game like that in the end of the season, I think it has a different outcome on your team moving forward than losing a game like that early in the season. And then for the New York Giants, it's like you see what you've kind of wanted to see out of these new additions, right? You see this offense that you've only seen one time, and that was against the Indianapolis Colts, and that was an anomaly, right? But like these are the sort of things that you were hoping to see, right? And being able to compete with the Dallas Cowboys, who have dominated the New York Giants over the course of a long time.
Yeah, decade. I mean, one win since 2017 for the New York Giants.
So those are the sort of things you kind of have to walk away with to a certain extent. It's not necessarily a moral victory, but it's building blocks, and I feel like that these are important instances early in the season that can be more beneficial as opposed to middle of the season, late of the season that can be detrimental.
Absolutely. I mean, we saw that with you guys last year with week one going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They basically dog walked y'all in week one. A lot of people were thinking, hey, this is the Commanders team we expected in 2024. And then as the weeks progressed, Jaden Daniels and that offense started to get a lot better and scoring a lot more points, averaging damn near 30 points a game, and things started to change. I will say with the moral victories, though, your team and my team are in different circumstances a little bit here, right? Because the Giants can get moral victories for the fan base, for the ones that are thinking realistically, right? We can look at the offense and go, wow, that's a great performance by Russell Wilson, Malik Neighbors, Wan'Dale Robinson, and the rest of the gang to be able to score points. And even though it resulted in a loss, it was one of the more exciting games that I've got a chance to watch from the Giants, in the past couple of years. I mean, we just aren't in big scoring games like that really anymore. For you guys, I think it's more of a you called it more of like a wake-up call, but for me, I think it's more like a realization point, right? Because you look at the Commanders last year, and although they made it to the NFC Championship game, there were still a lot of deficiencies within that roster and the way they moved the ball, and we're starting to see those things kind of come to light here as the 2025 season comes to a beginning here. But week 2 in the books, and this is the time when you start to gauge 2 games is good enough to really get a decent evaluation on like who your team is and the possibility of what they could become. I think for the New York Giants, this game on Sunday night is the most important of the season as far as like what they can become. Because if you go out there and you get, beat pretty convincingly by the Kansas City Chiefs, I think it's going to be a lot more doom and gloom for the New York Giants fan base here. And I mean, I know a lot of people have complaints about negative reporting, from the team and whatnot. But I always tell people, man, like until the New York Giants get good, that's what you got to expect because you can't expect good reporting around a team that has been as bad as the Giants have been. 3 wins a season ago, and if it's anything like that this year, even myself, saying that I didn't think Brian Dable or Joe Schoen was going to be on the hot seat, but if you go out there and you continue to play the way we have, where you can't find consistency, through the 3 phases of football, and you can only find consistency in one phase of football, and that's not resulting in wins, then Brian Dable and Joe Schoen are absolutely going to be on the hot seat, entering next year.
I will say one thing that has been consistent so far, shout out to Authentic in the Beard, Wan'Dale Robinson.
Wan'Dale Robinson has absolutely been hooping, man, and more surprising than I thought he could. I mean, I'm thinking of a guy 80 yards a game, 60 yards a game, something like that. This guy goes out there and has a career high with the 142 yards, I believe it was, in that last matchup against Dallas. And stretching the field, that was one part that I thought Wan'Dale Robinson couldn't do, to be honest. Russell Wilson really showing some pinpoint accuracy, man, in that game. But let's get right into it, man. I'm looking forward to this show. I definitely want to see this roadmap with the Commanders situation, and I do want to hear your thoughts on the New York Giants game as well. But let's start with the Giants, man. Welcoming the Kansas City Chiefs for our home opener. This is an important game, and we're going to talk about a lot of nuggets here. I'm sure the Beard's got a lot of nuggets to bring to the McDonald's table. We're sitting in a booth today, so y'all hang tight here. We're going to be talking about the Chiefs traveling to MetLife to take on the New York Giants.
They have, statistically, I think the hardest schedule.
I like the team. I like the chemistry. I like the leadership. We had a good training camp. We had a good spring. Now we're 2 weeks away. We have to go out and do it.
Down the right side, he's got Robinson in the end zone. We got another fucking opportunity. Put that in the line. Giants on 3. Giants on 3. 1, 2, 3 times. They get it blocked up. There could be an opportunity, Bob. Drops back. Has time. Deep ball. Downfield. Looking for Neighbors. Who makes the catch for the touchdown?
Bittersweet looking at those highlights from that Dallas game, man, because I was definitely excited. You remember when I was like hurdling, dining room tables back in the day? It was one of those vibes. It was definitely one of those vibes, bro. Like when we scored that last touchdown, I really thought we had that game in the bag, and it just was not the case. But Chiefs coming in at 0-2, Giants sitting at 0-2. Chiefs favored by 6.5 at MetLife. The over-under 45.5 kickoff is Sunday night, prime time at 8:20 p.m. Last week, we know the Giants lost to the Cowboys. The Chiefs ended up losing to the Philadelphia Eagles in a Super Bowl rematch, 20-17. Chiefs beat the Giants last time we played each other. That was in 2021. The Chiefs beat us 20-17. Now, the home team, this is favorable for the New York Giants here. Mm-hmm. The home team has won 4 of the last 5 matchups. Now, I'm hoping that, that leans towards us possibly finding a way to shock the Kansas City Chiefs and Andy Reid. Andy Reid has a record of 18-14 versus the New York Giants dating back to his time with the Philadelphia Eagles as well. Both teams coming in struggle mode. A lot of similarities between these two teams as far as the way that they've been operating. I won't say in the past, but we'll say just over the last 2 games here. Primetime, Brian Dable, record of 2-8. We got to find a way to upgrade that. Brian Dable is the Daniel Jones of coaches when it comes to primetime right now. I don't know how much of that has to do with the former quarterback, but the former quarterback's over there in Indy right now balling out. The Giants finished last season with just 1 win at home. So we got to get off to a good start here. Not a lot of teams have started off with 2 games on the road. Not a lot of teams, maybe any teams, have started off with 2 games on the road against divisional opponents. Now, 0-2 is something that Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid really are not used to. Patrick Mahomes, this is his first time in his career starting out 0-2. It's Andy Reid's 5th time starting out 0-2, and Andy Reid has been coaching for 100 damn years, okay? He's been in football for a long time, and that's a pretty decent record there, considering that he hasn't started 0-2 that much. But the game plan is very similar. We saw the pass attack last game, be very effective, stretch the field, explosive plays, all that good stuff. But the support was not there. So this is, again, RTDB versus STDR. Run the damn ball, stop the damn run. The Giants need one of the two to perform at an average level for us to walk away with the victory at MetLife on Sunday. Now, let's start off with running the ball. Cam Skattebo. There's a lot of hype around Cam Skattebo right now after the performance that he had last Sunday. He was named to the PFF's Week 2 All-Rookie team. He forced 3 missed tackles. 35 of his 45 yards were after contact. He had an 82.8 rushing grade, the second best grade of all rookie running backs in week 2. Now, that stat sounds really cool, but then when you start to dig into the numbers, to me, this is not a performance from Cam Skattebo that we should be over-highlighting. He had 11 rushes for 45 yards, averaging 4.1 yards per carry, 1 touchdown. He did have 2 receptions, 14 yards on 3 targets, the long run of 24 yards. We talked about it on the Giant overreaction. Without that explosive run, Cam Skattebo went 10 rushes for 21 yards. That's 2.1 yards per carry. Now, I don't like to take away what somebody actually did.
But it is something that you need to note.
It is. And you look at the way that he got the run. They set up that play with the Russell Wilson play early on in the half where Russell Wilson kept the ball, and then they ran the same play with Jackson Dart in the game, making the defense think that we were going to give the ball to Jackson Dart. Instead, Cam Skattebo goes right up the middle, picks up that big 21-yard run. I'm not, trying to cast a cloud over Cam Skattebo, but I'm just cautiously optimistic about the Giants running back 1 situation right now. You got 2 guys to me right now that really have not shown either of them being the guy who's going to, take the reins of that running back 1 position in the Giants stable of running backs right now. But the crazy part for me, the running backs for the New York Giants are averaging 2.9 yards per carry. The running backs, right?
Yep.
And just 47 rushing yards per game. Now, as a team, the Giants are averaging 79 rushing yards per game, which is 28th in the NFL. But the Giants running backs have to get it together. Me and the Beard are always talking about this, about splitting the statistics from the quarterbacks and from the running backs. The Giants running backs had just 30 rushing yards versus Washington and just 64 rushing yards versus Dallas. That's cool, right? Not good. Not good at all. But the even crazier part about it is that Russell Wilson is the leading rusher right now for the New York Giants.
It's like we're in a Twilight Zone. We've been
bad.
here before. We've been here before with a prior quarterback. For the New York
I'm much
Giants.
more comfortable having Daniel Jones be my leading rusher, especially if there's no Saquon Barkley on the team, right? Because he's a dual threat quarterback. Now, if this was 8 years ago, Russell Wilson, maybe I'd be like, oh yeah, Russell Wilson, dual threat guy. He's rushed for 800 yards in the season before. He could be leading the New York Giants in rushing. But you're about to watch a matchup on Sunday Night Football that features the only 2 quarterbacks that lead their team in rushing right now. We're not talking about Lamar Jackson or Jaden Daniels or any of the other dual threat quarterbacks out there like a Jalen Hurts or anything. We're talking about Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes. Here's the other crazy part. Patrick Mahomes leads the NFL when you include running backs as well. He leads the NFL in explosive runs of over 10 yards right now. I know it's just 2 weeks, right? But that's something to keep your eyes on. I do not think that will transpire throughout this game on Sunday night either. I think
Better set that edge.
Got to set the edge. But more importantly for me, both teams are not going to rely on their quarterback running the ball to try to get to a victory in this game. The Chiefs running backs got to show up, whether it be Pacheco, whether it be Kareem Hunt. And same thing goes for the New York Giants. If it's going to be Cam Skattebo, if it's going to be Tyrone Tracy, I expect it to be Cam Skattebo to get more carries in this game, but they got to show up. Now, that's just the rushing portion of it, right? You got to find a way to stop the run as well. Week 1 against the Beards, Washington Commanders, we allowed 220. Week 2 against the Dallas Cowboys, who are not really known for running the ball that great, we allowed 136. And that's right around the number that we allowed last year. It was just over 136 rushing yards per game. Right now, the Giants rank dead last in the NFL, 177.5 rushing yards per game. And also allowing, this number to me is a little bit worse because it's just 2 games and you got gashed against the Commanders who do have a dual threat quarterback, right? So that's going to skew the rushing yards per game in just 2 weeks. But 5.9 yards per carry, that's got to get fixed. 31st in the NFL. And the Chiefs right now, they're coming in with a very, outside of Patrick Mahomes, a lackluster rushing attack. So you look at Mahomes right now alone, he's averaging 61.5 rushing yards per game. That means that the Chiefs running backs are averaging just 48 rushing yards per game because as a team, they average 109.5. Chiefs running backs on a year, 30 attempts, 96 yards, 3.2 yards per carry. Patrick Mahomes, 13 attempts for 123 with 9.2 yards per carry.
It's actually even a little bit worse because some of those numbers might include tight end or wide receiver. I'm not sure if they do or don't.
Yep.
I have it as they're actually only have 88 total rushing yards from running backs, which is 31st in the NFL right now.
So
and
eight less. Do you have yards per carry as well?
I don't have yards per carry, but I do have EPA. The running backs are 27th in the NFL.
I
in
fucking
EPA.
hate EPA, man. I fucking hate that stat. I don't even look. I
don't
how
even
you
know
just
what it
like,
means?
You ever just like looked at somebody and you like, I don't fucking like you, man. I don't know what it is, but
the
I
way
don't like
you
you.
look.
That's how I feel about EPA, bro. Every time I see expected point, I'm like, who the fuck is coming up with this?
I don't know, but there's some guy in a room who's doing it, and that's his job. So I'm gonna have a little bit of appreciation for that guy because that's all he does. Probably that's his job.
Facts,
That's his
you
life.
are the EPA guy.
You
for
were the
ESPN.
EPA guy. The one staggering number, though, is, we talked about Patrick Mahomes, or you talked about Patrick Mahomes and the explosive runs, right? What's so bad is the running backs have one carry through 2 games of 15 yards or more. Just one.
And Mahomes got 7 of them over 10.
So it's like, I don't know. Is it a Pacheco injury thing? We don't know, but they're going to have to
He hasn't
figure
been
it
the
out.
same since coming back off the injury. But Pacheco makes me worry about Cam Scatterbo. It's that running style is just not normally effective in the NFL. That's the thing. It's like these guys that are just trying to run. Like you look at all those numbers from PFF talking about Cam Scatterbo, right? The 3 forced missed tackles and, first guy's never going to get him. But at the end of the day, you only rush for 40 yards.
Yeah. And 24
Like that.
of them on one carry.
That one carry didn't get touched. These 2 running backs that the Giants have, they really make me think that, not even make me think, it's for certain. The Giants got to upgrade the offensive line from a more youthful perspective, right? Like bringing in guys like Marcus Bowe through the draft is important. But stopping the run going to be tough in this game. The Giants linebacker situation right now is just all over the fucking place, okay? You got Micah McFadden on IR. You had Demetrius Flanagan Fowles, who didn't dress for the Dallas game because he suffered a calf injury in practice, so he missed that game. Darius Muasau left week 2 early with the concussion. Chris Board is on IR right now. We got a revenge game here with Kansas City coming to MetLife here. Swayze Bozeman, revenge game. Okay.
Shout out Swayze Bozeman.
Shout out to Swayze Bozeman. Beard's like, I don't know who the fuck that is, but it sound good.
I love a good name, man. I
Ain't
love
that
a
a good name, bro?
Love a
Like,
good name.
Swayze Bozeman. That's a football name in a movie. But the Giants promoted him. He's a linebacker to the active roster. He went as a UDFA in 2024. Kansas City Chiefs scooped him up, put him on the roster. So we'll see if he might get some meaningful snaps. We did see Abdul Carter playing a little bit of off-ball linebacker in the game against the Dallas Cowboys. It's Bobby Okereke time, bro. Like, Bobby Okereke, right now, 4th in the NFL in run stops with 13, 1st at the position in tackles with 26 tackles. And just a little side nugget here. I know a lot of people are low on Kayvon Thibodeau, and people are still saying, I haven't seen enough in the first 2 games. Kayvon Thibodeau leads the New York Giants right now in pressures with 8 pressures, and he's also going for his 5th straight game with half a sack and a TFL. So y'all bet
We'll
y'all
take
money
that.
on my dog
There's
Kayvon.
a lot of teams that'll take that all day.
Absolutely. I know the top 5 pick and all that stuff's a little bit crazy, but the Giants got to just find a way to support Russell Wilson a little bit more in this game. I've been seeing fans blaming Russell Wilson for the loss. Like, oh, man, the collapse in overtime, though. And I'm just like, what are we talking about?
Without Russell Wilson, where are we? You're not in
I
overtime.
I can't say that necessarily because we do got 2 capable quarterbacks on the roster right now.
Very
Jameis
true.
Winston
But in
and
that
our rookie
particular
quarterback
game-
Jackson Dart, right? So I don't know, but I never give you a definitive answer on a hypothetical situation, right? I just can't do that. But whether it be the run defense, whether it be a running back, whether it be the special teams, or whether it be explosive plays, give my dog some help, man. The veteran quarterback needs some help. And they did that offensively last week. Russell Wilson down the field was amazing. And, as a fan, it gives me a little bit of pause because I'm like, is Russell Wilson going to be able to play like this game in, game out? And I'm not saying necessarily at this high of a level. He went 7 of 11 for 264, 3 touchdowns on deep passes in that game last week. I'm not expecting that. But from a percentage perspective, just from a give me a few touchdowns, maybe a game on the explosive plays, Malik Neighbors went absolutely crazy with the 167, 2 touchdowns. Wan'Dale Robinson with 142 and a touchdown. Wan'Dale Robinson has been on a consistent streak dating back to last season as well. A lot of people overlooking this. He's going for his 6th straight game with at least 5 receptions. So Wan'Dale is a guy. With the concerns that I have about the wide receiver core, it's more about trying to make Wan'Dale Robinson the wide receiver 3. If Wan'Dale Robinson's the wide receiver 3 on this team and you got a bona fide 2, then this offense should operate and move the way that we expect it to move. But 2 wide receivers going over 140 yards on the New York Giants, it don't even sound right. The
No, it
last
sounds
time that
crazy.
happened was in 2018. OBJ, Sterling Shepard. That's the last time that happened. To me, the task for the Chiefs is fairly easy defensively, right? It's about stopping Malik Neighbors for starters, right? And I'll say containing Malik Neighbors and really stopping Wan'Dale Robinson. If you can contain and stop Wan'Dale Robinson, contain Malik, stop Wan'Dale Robinson, and the Giants don't get more out of this rushing attack, I honestly think that even with a lackluster performance from the Chiefs offense, their defense should be able to put them in a position to possibly win this game without even having to put up a ton of points, which the Chiefs have not done this year. And it's one of my biggest concerns right now with the New York Giants moving throughout the year. Forget just this game. When you see the way that this offense is operating through Wan'Dale, through Malik Neighbors, I don't want to jinx it. None of those guys can get injured. If either one of those guys gets injured, the New York Giants offense is going to absolutely plummet. And got to cross my fingers that doesn't happen in this game. But I'm not looking for a back-to-back performance of what we saw with over 140 from those two guys. But I'm just looking for a performance that is something we can hang our hats on from the passing attack and then clean it up on defense, support your quarterback, and I think the Giants have a shot at winning this game. But what's your thoughts on this matchup?
So just perfect. This is something we didn't even talk about, but transition-wise and Russell Wilson, okay, and the passing attack. Week 1, first episode this season, Authentic and the Beer, we talked about how what the Giants were doing in the preseason is what they want to do in the regular season, and that's move the ball down the field, right? They want to increase that vertical game this year. And it comes down to clean pocket. If Russell Wilson has a clean pocket, they can do the sort of things that they're dreaming, that they're thinking in their head that they want to do, okay? He had the second highest yards per def on target with the clean pocket last week against the Cowboys, and in the NFL so far through 2 weeks at 10.5 yards. Okay, with the clean pocket, he's averaging 8.9 yards per an attempt. So they're trying to move the ball down the field here as long as they have the time. So that's something that's going to be key if the Kansas City Chiefs can get to Russell Wilson or not. And it's not even just the sacks, it's the quarterback pressures. And I saw somebody who said they don't really like the quarterback pressure stat. And I think the quarterback pressure stat, on the contrary, is the most underrated stat when it comes to.
Was that on that post I put up?
I don't know. It wasn't on the post you put up, but I saw somebody
just said that to me recently. I think pressures is an overrated stat. And I'm just like, what?
It's an underrated stat.
Exactly.
It's the literal definition of a defense destroying what an offense wants to do.
It's also a great way of how to equate how we're putting the quarterback under duress when we're not getting to him. When you're not getting the quarterback sack, how much are you putting him under duress by getting pressure on him and quarterback hits and quarterback hurries?
Because what it does is if a quarterback has to take his eyes off of a receiver for 1 second, it can completely mess up the rhythm of the play. Because a lot of these offenses now it's a very timing thing. And what pressures does is it messes up the timing of the offense. So that's super important for the Kansas City defense. Now, the New York Giants offense, these are some staggering numbers. How many points did they score last week?
37.
37. What's crazy to me is the New York Giants have the second worst red zone offense in the NFL.
Well, that's what explosive plays be doing when you're scoring from the 40 and the 50. And they've been terrible in the red zone.
So 1 of 7, 14.3% in the red zone through the first 2 weeks. And also third downs. They're 28th in the NFL in third down percentage right now, 33.3.
Yeah, 10 of 30 on third down.
Yeah, so those are things that you're going to have to clean up against the Kansas City Chiefs team, albeit a 0-2 Kansas City Chiefs team. That defense.
I will say this, though, about the red zone and the third down stuff. Red zone, a lot more important for me. Mm-hmm. Third down, if you can generate the explosive plays like we have, it's possible that you could still be able to go out there and score points without being successful on third down. Because that's two straight games for the Giants. I believe it was 4 against y'all and 6 in the following week, or it was flip-flopped, right? Poor third down. But if you're scoring the ball the way that the Giants were against the Dallas Cowboys, then, man, fuck third down.
That's
right?
why that's why that clean pocket is so important, because that 8.9 yards, that puts you in a second down. It puts you at, 2nd and 1 if you're making that.
It forces Russell Wilson to play within structure, too. Because the interesting part about the clean pockets, right, is Russell Wilson's time to throw against Washington was higher than it was against the Dallas Cowboys. He was at 2.5 versus Dallas, 2.7 versus Washington. But it forces him to hit the back foot and let the ball go. When Russell Wilson is dropping back and shit starts looking muddy and all that, that's when you're going to get that improv Russ that can at times get himself into trouble.
And the Kansas City Chiefs they're doing very good. I wouldn't say excellent, but very good. So I think about that top 10, top 11 statistics as pretty good, right? If you're top 10 in the NFL, pretty good, right? So they have the number 11 sack percentage in the NFL. So that means they're sacking the opposing quarterback 8.2% of the dropbacks. So that's going to be their way. What's interesting, too, because, they're technically graded as the third worst pass rushing team in the NFL right now, but they're 11th in sack percentage. So it's an interesting sort of combination there where they're getting to the quarterback and they're getting them down a pretty significant amount of time, 11th most per dropbacks in the NFL right now. But the offense for Kansas City, you talked about it. The running back, Patrick Mahomes in this offense churns when they have a running game. That's pretty much, it's a lot of quarterbacks, but you don't think about it as much with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. But if you go back and you look at statistically, when Kansas City is best at their offense is when they're able to run the ball. Now, that's going to be something to keep your eye out on. Defensively for the New York Giants, we talked about red zone offensively. The defense isn't much better. Okay, they're the second worst red zone defense in the NFL. They're allowing an 85.7% red zone conversion rate right now, 6-7 on the year. Now, we talked a little bit about containing Mahomes. I think that's going to be important. You're going to have to be able to set the edge there. And there's a guy, I'm going to give you a guy right now. I gave you guys Tucker Kraft against the Washington Commanders last week. And here's a guy here, Tyquan Thornton.
Beast,
okay?
Speed.
Tyquan Thornton on the year. Not a lot of production, but valuable production. 4 catches, 100 yards, 1 touchdown. That's an average. Don't need to be a mathematician to know this one. That's an average of 25 yards per reception. So he's a guy that can take the top off, and that's something you're going to have to keep an eye out on because the New York Giants are allowing 10.4 yards per completion on the season right now.
Ew.
Yeah. So those are just a couple of things. And I don't know if you had this nugget. I didn't want to interject early on because I wasn't sure if you had this nugget. But you know that the New York Giants are the only team that the Kansas City Chiefs have never beaten on the road before.
Yeah, you kind of spoiled the super chat I saw come in that was talking about that. Big shout out to Zach G.
There it is. We did that on purpose. I didn't even see that, but I had that in my notes, and I was like, I'm going to save that nugget. Just I need to go to the counter and get another thing of sweet and sour sauce before I brought that nugget out. But shout out to Zach G.
You gotta look into that though a little bit, right? They've played each other 15 times. The Chiefs have only just 15 since 1974, and the Chiefs have only beat the Giants 4 times within those 15 games. So you only had 4 opportunities, and
the numbers within the numbers.
Yeah, the numbers within the numbers. I mean, they haven't played each other since 2021. They've only played each other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times since 2000.
That's interesting.
That's how it be when you're talking about them AFC teams, and you just don't get to play them a lot.
Yeah. But big shout out to Zach G for the $1.99 super chat. So the Chiefs have never beat the Giants at home. So good transition.
And we got
Zach
another
G.
one here from Danny Thomas.
Big shout out Danny Thomas with the $10 super chat. Says, do you think Marcus Embo starts at right tackle if Thomas comes back and Illuminor moves to right guard? I think we need to run 11 and 12 personnel. New York Giants 37, Kansas City Chiefs 30.
I like I gave the score prediction, man. Big shout out to Danny Thomas here one time. I was going to talk about the offensive line here as well. More 11 and 12 personnel. So for me, and I've been saying this since the beginning of the season, put out a whole Daniel Bellinger video about this, the Daniel Bellinger rant. It's more 12 and more 13 personnel. Because 11 personnel, you're talking about kind of stretching the field a little bit more, 1 back, 1 tight end, putting more speed on the field. 12 personnel, you're talking about putting 2 tight ends on the field. 13 personnel, which is what I want to see, which is what the Green Bay Packers ran against the Washington Commanders on Thursday Night Football and found ways to just get Tucker Kraft open in open field and create those explosive plays. That's what I want to see the New York Giants. Give me Bellinger, Theo Johnson, and Chris Manhertz all on the field at the same time and just find ways to be able to have the defenses that we are facing load the box a little bit more, but also be able to counter that with guys that can catch the ball like Daniel Bellinger. So I want to see a little bit more 12 and a little bit more 13. Now, offensive line-wise, Andrew Thomas participated in team drills yesterday, so that is a bit of a bonus. James Hudson, the worst start to a game that we may have ever seen, like not even from just a single player. I mean, this is like Nathan Peterman levels of garbage play here. He had 4 penalties on the first drive. The Giants as a team need to clean up the penalties too. It was 14 penalties for 160 yards, 6 first downs by penalty, and 7 decline penalties. So, bro, you're talking about damn near 21 yellow flags being thrown out there on the field. James Hudson was benched, and Marcus Bowe came in, and Marcus Bowe had an incredible game. He posted the second highest PFF grade for the New York Giants last week, only to Jermaine Illuminor. Russell Wilson right now is facing a ton of pressure, too. Russell Wilson has faced the most pressures of any quarterback in the league. He's tied with Joe Flacco and Bryce Young. He's faced 37 pressures, according to Next Gen Stats. So we got to find a way to keep him upright. Just like the Beard was talking about, operating from that clean pocket is going to give us the best chances for the New York Giants to be able to move forward and be able to score points. Now, the offensive line this week, they have a massive challenge here. You're going up against Chris Jones in the middle of that defense. Shout out to rookie Omar Norman-Lott, who came in from Tennessee. He's also been a contributor as well. You got George Karlaftis on the outside with Drew Tranquill as well. 2 sacks from him on the season already. This is going to be a major challenge. So I do think that the Giants have to at least consider moving some of these pieces around on the offensive line. If Andrew Thomas comes back healthy, you know he's going to be at the left tackle position, which will take Marcus Bowe off the field. I don't know if we want to do that. I've talked about experimenting with maybe bringing in Joshua Ezeudu as one of the guys that could play on the interior portion of the offensive line, maybe fill in for GVR, maybe move GVR to center. JMS had a pretty decent game this past week, though. The entire offensive line had a pretty decent game this past week. So it's something to monitor. It's definitely something you got to keep your eyes on. I wouldn't be proactive and jump the gun just yet. I would probably wait a couple of more weeks before I start doing, a little bit of musical chairs up front on that offensive line. So just to answer your question there, Marcus Bowe's got to find a way to get on the field. I would have that buffer would only be about 2 to 3 games when Andrew Thomas got back before I would consider putting Marcus Bowe on the field, at least, experiment with him maybe on the interior. We do know Jermaine Illuminor has experience playing on the interior portion of the line when he was with the Raiders as well. So maybe you could possibly kick him to the interior, and then maybe you move Marcus Bowe to the right tackle. So a lot of options here, just can't afford to have any more injuries up front for the New York Giants.
It's interesting because it's very similar to what Washington's kind of facing on the offensive line right now also.
Yeah, them injuries. We definitely going to get there for sure.
Big shout out to Zach G for the $1.99 super chat. Listen, while you guys need to stop 60-plus yard field goals, I sure would love a guy who could hit a 50-yarder right about now. So, yeah, big shout out for the $1.99 super chat. Says we need to stop 60-plus yard field goals.
Yeah, that's a fact, man. What was it, like 25% of all the game winners of 60 or more were on the New York Giants? Yeah,
Jesus.
That's just bad luck.
Is there a number within that number? Because that's a crazy number.
Yeah, I think it was like 4 of them were credited to the New York Giants. So, and it was like 4 out of whatever that percentage would be, like 25% or something like that. The other thing I want to talk about before we move on from this game is Patrick Mahomes and, the expectation coming into this game. On my notes here, I wrote, will the real Patrick Mahomes please stand up? Please stand up. Because this version that we're looking at through 2 games, this is not what we're accustomed to seeing from Patrick Mahomes. He has a completion percentage of 58.8% on the year, just 445 passing yards. He had 187 versus Philly, 258 versus the Chargers. A lot of that, late in the fourth quarter. Just 2 passing touchdowns, 1 interception. The rushing yards is really salvaging what Patrick Mahomes does with the 123 rushing yards and the 2 rushing touchdowns. But I think that last year's play is kind of trickling into this season. And, Patrick Mahomes does not have the luxury of only divisional teams trying to figure out how they're going to stop that quarterback, right? All the teams across the league are trying to figure out how to stop Patrick Mahomes, and that puts him at an unfair disadvantage. But when you look at his 2024 statistics, 3,928 passing yards, that was a career low for him as a starter. It was his first time under 4K in his entire career. 26 passing touchdowns, tied a career low from 2019, but he did bounce back after that 2019 season, and he came back on fire in 2020. But, this happens every year, Beard, like where first 2 games go by, it feels like for the last 3 to 4 years, we're like,
yes.
Is it time to hit the panic button on Patrick Mahomes? Do you think that there's reason to panic a little bit, considering the way he's been playing over the last 2 weeks and dating back to last season, kind of trickling into this year?
No. Just an easy answer, no. Like I could go into a million hypotheticals here and stuff like that, but we don't do hypotheticals. Listen, it's the
I try to
NFL.
encourage that over here.
Yeah. Listen, I'm leaning towards more and more no hypotheticals, right?
None.
You get yourself in trouble,
Especially to try to trump a debate. But what if?
Well, what if? As soon as you start with it right there, you're going down a slippery slope. So, listen, this is the NFL. Things happen. And there's a lot of terminology that people like to use when you're talking about people falling off and hitting panic buttons. Same thing with Jay Daniels. Oh, the league's figuring him out, right?
I hate it.
Stuff
Sophomore
like that.
slump, man.
Yeah.
Killing
Look,
me.
we're 2 games into the season. The Kansas City Chiefs have played 2 really good teams.
Yeah.
Right? San Diego Chargers, let's be honest.
Los Angeles, but I hear you.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. The San Diego Chargers, okay? We're going to run with
I
it
like
for
it.
now,
They
okay?
should be in San Diego.
Yeah. San Diego Chargers are the Green Bay Packers of the AFC.
Ooh, I like that. Good comp. Good comp.
You know, and so and then they played the Philadelphia Eagles. They're the Super Bowl champions. Like, and it's not like they're getting mollywopped and they got a tough schedule. I'm going to be honest with you. Whoever
As
said,
they should. As they should.
They should, right? But what about the Buffalo Bills? Have you seen the Buffalo Bills schedule?
I ain't looked at it.
I don't know how the hell that's a first place schedule. Somebody needs to look into that because there's something fishy going on.
Ravens first week.
With the Buffalo
Dolphins,
Bills.
Dolphins second week.
Yeah, then they play
whatnot.
the Saints and then the Seahawks and, like, I don't know what's going on here. But anyways, don't hit the panic button. We're 2 weeks in. If there's anybody that can bounce back. Now, if they lose to the New York Giants, I think
We
you
hitting
can
that
take
panic
the
button.
little plastic top that's over top of the panic button. I think you can lift that up.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't necessarily have to go hit the red button.
The peeling plastic, we kept it on.
you can start getting
We're
ready.
taking the plastic off the couches now, okay?
Give them a little bit of time here. I mean, yeah, everybody deals with injuries. I know that. And we talked a little bit about this via text. The San Francisco 49ers are 2-0, and they have half of their team that you thought that they were going to have, right? But they're still 2-0. And the Kansas City Chiefs are facing a little bit of adversity. I just think they need to find their rhythm. And I think that starts with the run game. If they can figure out how to get the running game going, maybe it's a little bit more Kareem Hunt,
I think so. He's been the better ball carrier for the first 2 weeks of the season, in my opinion.
That would be my advice for the Kansas City Chiefs is just figure out your rhythm, get the run game going a little bit, and you'll be okay. Defensively, I love Steve Spagnuolo. I think he's a guy that I think doesn't get enough credit nationally and throughout the inner circles of the league. I think he does a great job with that Kansas City Chiefs defense.
Yeah, he absolutely does. I think the big question here for the Giants is which offense is going to show up, week 1 or week 2, and if we can get at least some kind of iteration of the week 2 offense, Giants are absolutely going to have a chance in this game. I think it's going to look a lot like the game against the Cincinnati Bengals last year, where it's going to be a big defensive fight, medium scoring, and it'll come down to who can make those plays late in the fourth quarter. But prime time, that's another thing to consider again, man. Brian Dable 2-8, Andy Reid 95 and 93 in prime time. You talked about the red zone. That's super important. The Giants are going to have to find a way to punch it into the end zone when they get down there to the red zone. For me, though, I still need a little bit more data before I'm confident in this New York Giants team moving forward, because the inconsistencies from each unit, from offense, from defense, we're just not clicking on all cylinders, literally on all cylinders in these games. So I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs in a close one here. I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win this one. I'm going to go 27-21 in favor of the Kansas City Chiefs.
I also have a close game. I think it's a little bit lower scoring, but not by much. I got the Kansas City Chiefs winning 23-20 on a
I like it. I like it.
60-yard field goal. Big shout out to
Don't do me like that.
Big shout out to Jackson Brundage with the $5 super chat. Got those 99s in there. Chiefs have plenty of liabilities. We got this one, boys.
Hey, I hope Jackson is right, man. I hope Jackson is right. I really do. But
but can you imagine the
definitives
celebration?
and hypotheticals, man, they're tough for me. I can't say we gonna do anything. I can't even say we gonna make it. Listening to some Jada, I can't even say we gonna make it. I don't know.
Oh man, the celebration though, that's gonna be a good one if you guys do pull off the upset.
Oh yeah, we need it, man. We really need it. And then it would be the Chargers the following week, and then you get a easier game against the Saints. I'm not trying to emphasize easier because there is no easy wins in the NFL, but winning here could salvage the season, to be honest. But 0-3, is going to be tough. This year's Kansas City Chiefs start reminds me of the Baltimore Ravens start last year. Like, you losing a bunch of close games to some good teams, and if you can, right the ship here in week 3, then everybody will forget about those first 2 weeks. But we shall see, man. But that'll put a button on the game. So I got 27-21. You had
23-20.
23-20. All right, let's get off into this Raiders Commanders matchup here one time. Looking forward to seeing what this roadmap is about here. This is a nice game to have, considering all the turmoil that is happening here in Washington, D.C. surrounding those Washington Commanders one time. Raiders coming to Northwest Field to take on the Washington Commanders.
He's elevated an otherwise average roster, made him a viable Super Bowl contender.
We're not there yet, and that's why I think in the early part of the season that identity is formed, not by what's called, but how you play. And I'm watching the how a lot.
5 days later, they give us the heavyweight fight that everybody wants.
And look at the effort, the speed, the closing ability, the bend.
You said for some reason with Jaden Daniels, the rookie rules don't apply.
All right, y'all. Kickoff is Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Commanders favored by 3.5. Kind of interesting at home. I think they're definitely leveraging in some of those injuries here. Over-unders at 44.5 last week. Extra rest for the Commanders here, who lost to the Packers 27-18 on Thursday Night Football. Short week for the Raiders here, who lost to the Chargers 20-9 on Monday Night Football just 3 days ago and had to travel. I don't know who set that up for them. That was not a good
There's
look.
a couple of guys here working on the NFL schedule, and we gotta question them.
That one is how come the Giants don't get what did we do? What did we do to deserve the schedule that we
won
got?
3 games.
That's fucked up, man. That is fucked up, man. Last meeting, the Commanders beat the Raiders 17-15 in 2021. We got Pete Carroll, the super, triple, quadruple OG, going up against Dan Quinn. Jeremy Chin, revenge game here. He had 6 tackles, a TFL, and a pass deflection in week 2. All-time series is tied at 7-7, so this is definitely one of the games that will put one of these teams over the top as far as all-time goes. Raiders are having trouble scoring points right now, man. They're averaging 14.5 points per game. That's 31st in the NFL right now, but the defense has kept the Raiders in games, allowing just 16.5 points per game, which is 5th best in the NFL. Geno Smith, I saw somebody tweet this out like last week sometime. Like, if you are a supporter of Geno Smith, then you know ball. And I was like, you know ball. But Geno Smith has been fucking struggling, man.
Yeah, it's been a little rough for good old Geno.
Dicey right now, man. 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions on the year. I saw the beginning to his game, like I think it was 3 interceptions, and he was like 0 for 10 last week, which is terrible. His QBR is currently 37.1. Geno's got to get back playing the football that we know he's capable of. Even from a completion percentage standpoint, I saw his completion percentage is down as well, and he's normally one of the guys at the top of the league. They brought in Ashton Jeanty, first-round pick, to be that guy, and right now Ashton Jeanty is averaging 2.7 yards per carry. I see a lot of people on social media clipping up all 22 like, you got to look at the tape, you got to look at the tape. I hear you, but 2.7 yards per carry is never going to be good. 40.5 rushing yards per game. His longest run on the year is 13 yards. Geno Smith has a 15-yard run on the season already, too, so that's not saying a lot right now. The passing attack, I think, for the Raiders appears to be decent, kind of what we expected, minus the interceptions from Geno Smith. Jacoby Myers out there, 82.5 yards per game, 14 receptions on 22 targets for $165. I was really surprised to see these numbers. Still hasn't gotten in the end zone yet. Brock Bowers, 70.5 yards per game, 10 receptions on 16 targets, 141 yards. Still hasn't found a way to get into the end zone yet. But they are moving the ball. Their 2 premier, weapons that they have out there are definitely making plays. But a lot of that's happening in the second half. 9 of Jacoby Myers' 14 receptions came in the second half. 101 of Brock Bowers' 141 yards have come in the second half. And Geno has 77 passing attempts in 2 games. We got to get that number down. That's why I think he's not playing well, playing from behind. No rushing attack. Support your veterans, y'all. Support your veterans. You got Geno Smith out here. Give him a running game. Defense playing okay, but we got to find a way to get him a running back. And the Raiders have been just terrible in the red zone. They're scoring on just 25% of their red zone attempts. And the Raiders are also 27th in red zone attempts per game. So we always talk about this. If you're not going to be efficient, at least maximize the amount of attempts that you're going to have. They're not doing either. That's a recipe for losing games. For Washington, injuries are piling up, man. Dietrich Wise Jr. on IR. Austin Eckler, season-ending, basically, IR. Jonathan Jones, the cornerback, on IR. Sam Cosmi, still dealing with that knee injury. You had a bunch of questionable players coming into this week. Tight end John Bates. Offensive tackle Brandon Coleman. Trey Amos on the injury report. Running back Jeremy McNichols got a hamstring. He's on the injury report. Noah Brown got a groin injury. He's on the injury report. And the most important injury of all of them, the MRI results revealed that Jaden Daniels has a sprained knee. So right now he is considered day-to-day, which is a term that I feel like the NFL just needs to just get rid of. I don't know what day-to-day means.
You want today's day? I just got today's day.
What was the day today?
Today's day was a no-go.
I mean, we figured you're not just going to have a sprained knee and be out there running around. I mean, listen, I got old knees, which is probably better than a sprained knee, and I ain't going to be out here just running around. But
I've been
Jaden
day-to-day
Daniels
for like 15 years, bro.
Yo, I'm getting there. I'm definitely getting there. I wished my homie AP a happy birthday. He was doing some crazy dances on Instagram, had me laughing my ass off, and I wished him a happy birthday. And he said, bro, we getting up there. And you know what that means. That senior citizen, that shit is right around the corner right now. But without Jaden Daniels, it's going to be tough, man. I really think it'll be tough. He's got 433 yards, 3 touchdowns in 2 games. You know, the extended rest coming off the Thursday Night Football loss to the Packers, you would think would help, but Jaden Daniels not practicing. He was sacked 4 times in that game, and Michael Parsons really putting a lot of pressure on him. But let's pull up these statistics here, because if Jaden Daniels can't go, it's time for my GOAT to get on the field.
Revenge game.
When we're talking about my GOAT, we are talking about a revenge game for my dog, Marcus Mariota. Look at these numbers filling in for Jaden Daniels last year. 34-44, completion percentage of 77.3%, 364 passing yards, 8.3 yards per attempt, 92 rushing yards. That's 5.1 yards per carry for him. 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. You add another rushing touchdown. That's 5 total touchdowns for Marcus Mariota in 2 games in relief for Jaden Daniels last season. Sacked just 3 times with a quarterback rating of 131.3 and a QBR of 86.3. This is a guy that I wanted to bring into the New York Giants organization after the conclusion of the 2022 season, where I thought Marcus Mariota was a viable option to come in and be able to run that dual threat type of offense that Brian Daboll and Mike Kafka ran in 2022. Now, when you look at Marcus Mariota's numbers from those 2 games, we're now 2 games through the season, right? This is a fair comparison. Some might say authentic. You kind of reaching here, right? His QB rating would be second right now, only to Lamar Jackson if you take those 2024 numbers and brought them in to the first 2 weeks of the NFL season. His completion percentage would rank second in the NFL, and his 4 passing touchdowns would rank 5th in the NFL. Again, for me here, the Beard, it's super, super important to support your veterans, man. Yeah. If you get Marcus Mariota in the ball game, we need to be able to support him with a rushing attack. Jacory Krosky-Merritt is the way that you do that, obviously with Austin Eckler now on IR. And you got Jeremy McNichols dealing with his own injury. Jacory Krosky-Merritt averaging 7.1 yards per carry, but only has 14 attempts on the season, a long of 42 yards. Krosky-Merritt has 5 of the Commanders' 14 rushing first downs on the season. That's 36% of the rushing first downs. He has 14 of the 53 rushing attempts, though. We need a little bit more balance here, because if Jacory Krosky-Merritt is going to continuously be able to get you first downs on the ground, you have to continuously, as a head coach, as an offensive coordinator, get him the fucking ball. Yeah. Okay? 14 is just not enough for me. The Commanders right now are struggling to RTDB with the running backs, and that's not because they're not capable. When you look at Jeremy McNichols, he's averaging over 6 yards per carry as well. They just refuse to commit to it through the first 2 games. Now you're not going to have your quarterback out there possibly. I think that this is the game that it will be smart to commit to your running back, especially with Austin Eckler out. And just maybe, Beard, just maybe. I mean, right now we got Donovan Edwards on the practice squad. Shout out to Michigan right there, Wolverines. Yeah. You got Chase Edmonds, who was just acquired, and he's on the practice squad. But maybe it was a bad idea to trade Brian Robinson to the San Francisco 49ers. Who would have thunk it? What are your thoughts on this matchup? I didn't really want to have too much to say about that game, but kind of looking kind of crazy right now with Brian Robinson over there.
Yeah. You listen, and there's certain things that we have to trust. As when I say we, Commanders fans, we trust Adam, and this front office and let them do their thing, So
Don't you give me that bullshit, Beard.
yeah, I know. So
I can't stand when you be talking about you guys think Brian Dable's on the hot seat. What do you think about him? Hey, man, listen, I trust Joe Shane to make the right decision. Why are we talking then?
So I will give you a quote here in regards to and this was the rumor that was floating around, why Bill was not getting as many touches, okay? And it was, I think, being confirmed via this quote. Cliff Kingsbury said, for Kroski, Merritt, the challenge will be, quote, playing without the ball. He said, every time he's touched it, good things have happened. Just that pass protection or just running his routes properly is a big deal. He's been impressed, though, with Bill's work ethic. So that would explain.
That would excuse.
Yeah. Listen, I think we'll get more Bill. I think he's like the back end of that, the work ethic thing shows me that Kingsbury sat down with him and was basically like, bro, I need you to be able to do these things so that you can do these things.
Quickly, before you move on, right?
Yes.
If you are an offensive coordinator, which me or you not, but let's say we were an offensive coordinator and we had a running back who clearly shows a capability that when he gets the ball in his hands, good things happen. Would you find a way to keep him on the bench? Or would you find a way to help the pass pro by maybe keeping a tight end in line and maybe chipping on his side or something like that?
That would be the
Just
more obvious answer. Now,
Just
obviously, our best blocking tight end, some may say best blocking tight end in the NFL, John Bates, banged up. So there's.
I don't know about that best blocking tight end in the NFL thing.
Just, ask your boy Chad. Ask your boy Chad. Chad GPT. He might give you a few words. But listen, there's a lot of injuries going on here. And I am going to say this. I'm not going to dive deep into Jaden's knee and anything like that because, listen, I might have stated a few Holiday Inn Expresses, but I am no damn doctor, all right? I'm not. So if the guy can play, he plays. Okay, this is the NFL. This isn't, you're going up against Alabama State UTEP technology from Tahiti, right? Where you can play your third string quarterback. This is the NFL. Okay, if your quarterback can play, he plays. That's it. There's no bubble wrapping in the NFL. I'm not here for the soft talk. Okay, I want my Chips Ahoy to be crunchy, not the soft chew. All right.
Yeah. By the way,
soft chews are good.
Soft chew, they're trash. They're trash, bro. Tastes like oatmeal or cream.
It's not real cookies.
It's not real cookies. Yeah, that's some.
Make-believe
There's a lot of
cookies.
chocolate that runs around like that too, bro. You go get you a Hershey's without the almonds, and you'll be like, where are they making this chocolate? Are they making this in a
China
science lab or some shit?
China.
Well, damn.
So listen, the offensive line and defensive line got their asses whooped in week 2. Okay, so it's time to wake up. It's not getting any easier. You're going from the thing that's crazy is we were talking about going into the season of all these running backs that the Washington Commanders were going to be facing in the beginning of the season. Is that defensive line, that rush defense, improved enough to handle these running backs? But now we got to start talking about all these defensive lines that we're facing. We faced the New York Giants. They have a good defensive line. Even though we ran for 220 yards, it was week 1. We'll let that slide. Week 2, we went up against the Green Bay Packers, who might be the best defense in the National Football League, and Micah Parsons. Now you're going up against the Las Vegas Raiders and a young man by the name of
the best defense and Michael Parsons.
Now you're going up against a guy who's pretty damn good, and by the name of Mr. Max Crosby.
Yeah.
Okay, so. And you saw that in the wonderful shout out to graphics department and the video editing department. You saw that clip there of Mr. Max Crosby. He's not a slow guy. He was chasing down some people. So, and then I hear all the fans say, oh, well, you're going up against Max Crosby. Maybe it's not such a good idea to play Jaden Daniels. Like, what are we doing here? Like, there's going to be a Max Crosby and a Micah Parsons on almost every team. There's going to be at least one of them. Okay,
true. A premier edge rusher is basically on about 2/3 of the teams in the
exactly.
in the National Football League.
So you're going to have to watch out for that. And you talked about running the ball. 51 attempts in the first 2 games total for the Washington Commanders. And here at Authentic in the Beard, we like to split stats 18 of those are from Jaden Daniels. So you're talking about, what was that, 20 or 33? 33? My math is math. 33 attempts by running backs in the first 2 games.
What was the numbers again? 51 total?
51 total.
Look at us doing math live.
Minus 18. That's
Yep.
33.
You had it right on the button. Yep.
Okay, so 33 rushing attempts by running backs in 2 games. That's an average of like 16.5 attempts by running backs. That's not going to cut it.
It's not good.
Not going to cut it. That's not what this team success was built on last year. And albeit we're averaging 5.3 yards per carry. So some of these statistics are doubling down on what Authentic was saying. Like, if you're doing these things well, why not continue to do those things more frequently, right? The offensive line has struggled. We've allowed 7 sacks. Now, some of those sacks are on Jaden Daniels, and Jaden Daniels will tell you that. There's a couple of those where Jaden Daniels gets up and he's like this. He knows he held the ball for too damn long, okay? Those are the 4th most sacks allowed in the NFL this season. The sack percentage is 8.9%. So 8.9% of the time the Jaden Daniels has dropped back, he has been sacked. That's the 10th highest in the NFL. Third down, which we were fantastic at last year, we look like dog shit right now. Okay, we're horrible. 33.3%. That's the 5th worst in the National Football
Y'all
League.
right there with us.
Right, literally the exact same percentage. Okay, so you got to get back to what we were doing well: running the ball, converting on third down, and most importantly, time of possession. I think we forgot about that because sometimes there was points, especially at the end of the season in that playoff run, where and the one series Jaden played in preseason where it was like boom, bam, boom, bam, score in like 5 plays, right? But that's not what that's not what fueled our success. What fueled our success was the long drives.
Yeah.
Those 15 play drives, those 10-minute drives. Like that's what what really fuels you.
We talked about how that was like the formula to beat Philly for you guys when y'all couldn't get over the hump before Jaden got there.
Yeah.
But y'all had some good recipes to try to stop Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles and got really close a couple times. I think y'all beat them once too and stopped that 10-game winning streak.
Yeah, they were undefeated and we beat them. So we're 22nd in the league right now in time of possession. Now the Las Vegas defense. Now this is interesting because I don't have these numbers for Mariota. I'd be curious to see what. I'm going to go ahead and say that Mariota can mirror this based upon the scheme that Cliff Kingsbury runs. So Las Vegas defense plays cover 3 51% of the time. There's nobody in the NFL that plays cover 3 more than the Las Vegas Raiders. Jaden Daniels, in his career so far, versus cover 3, has a 73% completion percentage, averages 9.3 yards per attempt. Okay, so
Solid.
He's grinding on all gears here when he's playing cover 3. Now, a lot of people were like, oh, well, they figured out Jaden Daniels. And they were playing that too high. They were playing zone the entire time against Green Bay was against Washington. And we struggled. And they're like, oh, well, you knew they were going to run that. Yes. And then, well, now everybody's going to run that. Yes, maybe. But not everybody has the same personnel that Green Bay has. You can there's teams that run the same defenses, but the personnel is different. So it's not always going to equate to the same outcome. And then people want to show the screenshots. Oh, he should have thrown it over here. And I'm like, bro, those 2 middle linebackers are right there. Like, it's just certain things are
I know
easier
exactly
to say.
what play you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Exactly what play you're talking about.
It
Like,
just-
that stuff kills me on social media. Like, screenshot, circle, he's wide open. Like, come on, man.
There's 2 linebackers are right there in the middle. Like, you literally have to, like, it's
That was
wild.
when he was rolling right, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It just
I
it
remember that was
doesn't
on the right hash.
It doesn't make sense. So for me, like, this is things that, obviously Kingsbury needs to get a better job at. And people are like, oh, well, he can adjust from game to game, but he can't adjust in game. That's not true. I've seen him do it multiple times last year. He just failed to do it last week against Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers are the best defense in football right now.
Yeah, it's a good team.
So that's what that is. But, the defense for the Vegas Raiders, they got 7. They're tied for 4th most sacks in the NFL with 6 sacks. Okay? They have the 3rd most tackles for loss, 14. They had the 4th best rushing defense in the National Football League at 70.5. They had the 4th best third down defense at 32%. So all of those things that they do really well are things that Washington is struggling at, that they're going to have to address in this game. A lot of that's going to come down to the offensive line play. There's talk about moving. Do we move on already from the rookie right tackle? Because he got abused last week.
Fan talk.
No, I mean, I think some of it is certifiable, like understandable. Like I can understand that. Like you have a guy like Wiley, but I mean, like it's not like Wiley is a guy. You know, like we people were clamoring to move on from Wiley. Now they want to put Wiley in when the rookie just got abused.
2 games is
two games. That's why I said
too few.
earlier when you were talking about, you know, giving some time before you start playing that musical chairs with the New York Giants offensive line.
Yeah.
We're kind of going through a similar situation. So those are things that you're just going to have to clean up. Now, offensively, the Vegas Raiders have struggled. You talked about how they can't run the ball. It was second worst in the NFL through the first 2 weeks, and I think that's affecting, you know, Geno Smith. They have one carry of 15 yards. That's their longest carry in the entire season.
Yeah, and that's from the quarterback.
That's from the quarterback, like you mentioned. Now, they have allowed the 4th most sacks in the NFL. They have the 2nd highest interception percentage, obviously, with Geno throwing 4 interceptions. Now, Washington's secondary, who we looked and thought was going to be, you know, improved and really good. And this is not necessarily an indictment on just the secondary, because a lot of this is coming from those Tucker Kraft plays across the middle, and it's more of a not necessarily a lack of communication, but poor execution. If you saw a couple of times when Lattimore was following the wide receiver for Green Bay and he was just getting caught in the traffic, and which opened up, you know, for big gains. But they are allowing the 3rd most yards per completion right now at 12.8. They have the 9th.
12.8 is crazy. I mean, it's 2 games, but that's crazy.
It's crazy, right? And they have the 9th fewest tackles for loss. Okay, and this is the last stat I'll say before we get into the roadmap, because this is super interesting to me, and albeit small sample size, 2 weeks in the season, but it is, in my opinion, an indictment. It is a stat that determines a lot throughout the entire season. Washington is one of only 6 teams so far without a takeaway. 4 of those 6 teams are 0-2.
Damn.
They're 0-2 for a reason. You got to be able to force turnovers in this league.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, we are also one of 6 teams without a turnover. So far
without
this
giving up
season.
a turnover as well, offensively.
Without giving up a turnover.
Yeah.
5 of those 6 teams who have not turned the ball over in the first 2 weeks of the season are 2-0.
And y'all are the only team that's not.
That's not.
That's crazy.
So those are some things that that's the difference right there. Those are the differences. If you find a way to force a turnover in that Green Bay game when you're down, it's a 1-possession game, changes the entire, you know, flow of that game. I'm not saying you win
even in a game where, you know, offensively they had so many opportunities that they didn't capitalize on either, which kept y'all in that game. And you need a takeaway when you're in that kind of situation.
Yeah, so those are just some of the last tidbits here before we get to the roadmap, and a lot of that stuff is going to be enforced here, because I feel like Washington has lost its way, and there's only one way to get back on track, and that's to plug in some coordinates into the roadmap.
I like it. You know, when you were talking about pass protection issues with Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, it made me think about the Raiders as well. Like, Ashton Genty looks poor in pass protection.
That's one of his biggest downfalls they talk about.
Yeah, and I wonder how much that's affecting Geno Smith's game as well, you know, not having a running back that you know, is a wall in pass protection. But let's get into this roadmap, man. I'm looking forward to hearing this, you know, and just seeing what you think, how you think this game will pan out too, because this is a game that I think most people in the NFL are looking at as, oh man, Commanders, even with Marcus Mariota, they should go out there and win this game. But from what I'm hearing from you, there, you know, kind of feels like, hey, don't fall for the trap a little bit too much here. This is a game that the Commanders could lose. All right, let's get off into this roadmap one time.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Roadmap, the officially sponsored by Waze roadmap to victory for the Washington Commanders against the Las Vegas Raiders. We're getting back on track, back to basics, back to the old school. I want to be 30 rushing attempts from the Washington Commanders in this game. 30. I want you to equal your total by running backs in the first 2 weeks. I need 30 rushing attempts in this game against the Las Vegas Raiders. And we just talked about the turnovers. You have to force a turnover. You're going up against a quarterback who has thrown the most interceptions in the National Football League for the first 2 games. You cannot walk away without an interception. I need a forced turnover from my defense. Also, back to basics. And if you want to run the ball 30 times, you better be doing it very good, and you better be controlling the clock. I want you to win the time of possession. You got to win the time of possession in this game. Get back to the basics. Third downs and fourth downs is which was your bread and butter last year for the Washington offense. Get back to basics, back on track. 65% or better on third down conversions in this game from the Washington Commanders. And that offensive line has been pretty bad. So, listen, you already lost one quarterback. You can't lose him again, and you definitely can't lose Marcus Mariota, who some may say is the best backup quarterback in the National Football League. I'm going to need you to allow 2 sacks or less in this game. And last but certainly not least, if you want to win the line of scrimmage, you're going to have to finish. And that means you're going to have to get to the quarterback. I need you to sack Geno Smith 3 times in this game, and those are the coordinates for the roadmap to victory for the Washington Commanders against the Las Vegas Raiders.
Like it. Like the sack numbers on Geno Smith. I like that the most, and I do think y'all got an opportunity to be able to get after him in this game. I mean, Geno's not so much a mobile quarterback anymore, and a guy that likes to stay in the pocket. All right, so scores?
Listen.
Are we going to have 2 separate scores, like Marcus Mariota score, Jaden Daniels score?
No more of those. No more of those.
You first.
All right.
I'm picking y'all, though, but you first.
I can't. This is a home game. I think we'll be okay. If this was in Vegas, I'd be a little concerned. I'm still concerned, obviously. And I think Marcus Mariota, Jaden Daniels, I think the things that I talked about need to happen in order to win the game can happen no matter who's playing quarterback. So I have Washington winning this game, close game, 21-16.
Low scoring affair, huh? Marcus Mariota's put up 2 passing touchdowns in both games that he relieved Jaden Daniels in. I think you get at least 2 passing touchdowns. Probably get another running one from your boy Jacory, especially if they follow the roadmap here and they get you 30 attempts.
Shout out Chris Rodriguez, though. I think Chris Rodriguez has a big game. I'm saying it right now.
I like that. Bullish. I like that. I'm going to go 27-22 in favor of the Commanders. I think this will be like a 1-score game late. Geno Smith trying to make a play, and I think that's where you'll get your
turnover,
your first takeaway of the year. Yeah,
nice. Seal the victory.
All right, so we got just a couple other games to go through here. We're going to kind of give y'all a little bit of parlay vibes here one time with a little bit of you want to do the sound effect?
Rapid fire.
I love it. I didn't have to really say too much. I love it. All right, man. So, yeah, I'm following you. Which game we starting with?
All right, we're going to start off Sunday at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Los Angeles Rams are driving up to Philly to face the Eagles and grab some cheesesteaks. The Eagles are 3.5-point favorites. The over-under in this game is 44.5. Authentic, tell me what you got.
This is what I got. I kind of got a lot for this game.
Did you get the whole cheesesteak meal, not just the cheesesteak? You got the fries and the drink?
This is a rapid.
Right. You got cannoli
this is a rapid
too?
fire, more or less a slow simmer here one time. But you're looking at Eagles coming in 2-0. They defeated the Rams in the divisional round last year, 28-22. Saquon went absolutely crazy in that game. 6th player ever with at least 200 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns in a playoff game. That was kind of surprising to me that there's only been 6 players that have ever done that. The Eagles also beat the Rams in the regular season where Saquon had 300 yards from scrimmage. So you're looking at 205 rushing yards in the divisional, 255 rushing yards in the regular season matchup, 4 total touchdowns. That we're not done yet. He had 8 receptions on 8 targets combined in all those games for 93 yards. So you can only hope to contain Saquon Barkley. I don't know if that's going to be the case here. He has had a bit of a slow start to the season here. Get into that red zone, man. I think that if the Rams want a shot at winning this game, when the Eagles get into the red zone with the maniac and Jalen Hurts and with Saquon Barkley, you got to find a way to stop them in the red zone. The Eagles right now have converted 100% of their red zone trips. Not a good look if you're the Los Angeles Rams. Fantasy-wise, me and the Beard need big games from A.J. Brown or Devonta Smith, one of the two. Devonta Smith leads the Eagles right now with 69 receiving yards on the year. That is not going to get it done.
What? Are you kidding me?
69 yards. A.J. Brown has 6 receptions for 35 yards. Neither one of those two wide receivers have scored a touchdown yet. And to me, this is the biggest nugget on the show here. The Eagles do not have a passing touchdown yet. They don't have a receiving touchdown, and they don't have a passing touchdown. Got to get that in this game here. You know, I'm not rooting for the Eagles necessarily, but listen, I'm rooting for my fantasy team. I got A.J. Brown on 1. I got Devonta Smith on 2. One of these guys need to get a touchdown in this game. Damn, this is going to be a close matchup. I really did not pick a winner here. Matthew Stafford has been playing some incredible football, you know, and I know there were a lot of Giants fans that were talking, hey, you know, we don't want that guy, huh? I mean, Russell Wilson does lead the league in passing yards right now, so I can't be too mad. It's just 2 weeks. I'm going to pick the Philadelphia Eagles, who just find a way to win ugly games. I'm taking the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me see. The over-under was what in this one?
44.5.
I'm going over, and the Eagles favored by how much?
3.5.
I'm going over. I think the Rams cover. Give me the Eagles to win the game, though.
This was tough for me. You know I don't like picking against the Eagles, especially in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something about this game. I smell it in the air. You know, like I think there's a sour taste in the Rams' mouth and the way the game ended last year.
Yeah.
Like that.
They played the Eagles probably the best of all the playoff teams last season.
If I tell you right now, and we don't live in a world of hypotheticals here on Authentic of the Beard, but
if
it doesn't snow, the Rams won that game. I'm going to take the Rams to win 23-20. So give me the under, Rams to win, Rams to cover.
I like it. This is one we definitely need to revisit when we come back for the preview show next week.
Up next, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to Chicago. The Dallas Cowboys, off of a 64-yard field goal, entering into overtime to win the game against the New York Giants. They're 1-1, and the Chicago Bears are 0-2. This game kicks off at 4:25 for a little Midwest action. The Chicago Bears are favored by 1.5. The over-under in this game is a whopping, no defense playing, 50.5 points over-under in this game. Listen, every ounce of my Dallas Cowboy disbeliever wants to take the Dallas Cowboys to lose this game, right?
Good word.
The Chicago Bears are just, they're close. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say they're close.
They are.
There's aspects of this, and I heard a lot about this because I like to eavesdrop on some of the other teams for fantasy during I almost said training camp. I was hearing that Rome Odunze looked like he was ready to take a monster leap in year 2, and it's been a right.
I see a little bit of extra juice when he's running his routes. He looks a little bit quicker, a little faster in and out of breaks. Definitely agree with you on that. I didn't see it coming from training camp, but seeing the first 2 games, Odunze looks to be like that wide receiver 1 that they thought they were getting when they drafted him in the first round.
And I think that's huge for Caleb Williams to have that. I'd like to see Ben Johnson use DeAndre Swift a little bit more. I think that he also is a guy that can really help a quarterback, especially in the receiving game. I like to see them use DeAndre Swift a little bit more. Their defense is what worries me. I know they've had some injuries, right, in the back end of that defense, Chicago. And I just think that we're going to be looking at a bit of a shootout here. And obviously, Dallas Cowboys, I said this a lot last year, and everybody clowned me. God, that defense is awful right now.
The defense is trash. Last year, it was injuries. This year, they're just bad.
Trash, right? It's just trash.
Yeah, it's just straight up horrible.
But I think that Dallas's offense is so much better this year than last year with the addition of George Pickens and most importantly, the addition of Javonte Williams. I think that's the big difference for me in this Dallas Cowboys offense. I think they find a way to score at the end of this game and win. I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys 33, Chicago Bears 27. What's crazy is the Bears are favored by 1.5 points. I don't understand that. I don't understand that really. But yeah, Bears are favored by 1.5. So I'm going to take Dallas to win, Dallas to cover. So I'm going back-to-back underdogs here. And I'm going to take the under. They're going to go in right in at 50. Both of those games, my scores are right under the under. So take it with what you will.
It's interesting that the Cowboys are underdogs in this game. Home team has won 4 of the last 5 games, so maybe they're considering that there. The Bears, I like what I'm seeing from Caleb Williams from, pocket presence and manipulation. I think he's doing a great job of that this season. You could see that there's been some extra emphasis on the training in that regard. The accuracy has been a little bit inaccurate for Caleb Williams throughout some of these games, though. Just dirt and balls, overthrowing wide receivers. You want to see him start to get consistent. The National Football League is all about being consistent. Now, Dak Prescott on the flip side here has played at an extremely high level, but the numbers don't really show it. Just the 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 549 yards. Bears, it's been a mixed bag from week to week here. You look at the game against the Vikings, they lost by 3 points in a game where I thought it was right there for them. Yep. And then they get dog-walked against the Lions in week 2, 52-21. Lions scored at least 10 points in every quarter of that game. They scored 14 in 3 of the quarters and 10 in another. They also allowed Amon-Ra St. Brown to get in the end zone 3 times in that game. CeeDee Lamb, he's coming off back-to-back 100-yard games to start the season. And remember last year, that was the tough part. He couldn't get to the 100 yards early on in the year. You look at the first game where he had a bunch of drops and whatnot, came back, cleaned that up. He's still yet to score a touchdown. I'm going to guarantee he gets in the end zone this week. Cowboys need another big game from Javonte Williams. You talked about him. He's averaging 4.6 yards per carry, 3 touchdowns in 2 games, and he's participating and aiding that passing attack. He's got 8 receptions in those 2 games. This is going to be a high-scoring game unless, I don't know, just you know how this goes.
One of those
over under 60 and you come out and it's 14-13 at the end of the day or some shit, right? The Cowboys defense just has been bad, and secondary-wise, they've been bad as well. And Trayvon Diggs, just against Malik Neighbors last week and Wan'Dale Robinson, completely struggling. This was something a lot of people talked about in that season where he led the NFL in interceptions. The passer rating allowed was still extremely high for Trayvon. Through 2 games, perfect passer rating allowed, bro, 158.3. That's not going to cut it. Bears need to capitalize on their red zone opportunities as well, because I don't like the odds of Caleb Williams in a shootout. I just don't like that. I foresee a mistake happening. So in return, if they want to be in this game in a high-scoring affair, they're going to have to score in the red zone. They have done that as well. Them and the Philadelphia Eagles are the only 2 teams in the league that have 100% conversion rate in the red zone here, scoring touchdowns. So got to score, got to capitalize. I'm with you on this one, though. I'm taking the Cowboys, and I'm taking that under.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the last game of rapid fire is tonight's matchup. It is the Miami Dolphins. They are headed up north. Thank God it's not December, because this will be an automatic loss for the Miami Dolphins because they can't play in cold weather.
Facts.
Buffalo Bills are favored by a whopping 11.5 points. The over-under
it dipped a little bit.
Over-under
Open at 12.5.
is the same as the last 50.5 points. Authentic, tell me what you got.
50. So last meeting between these 2 teams, Bills beat the Dolphins 30-27. Yeah, I'm taking the over. I'm definitely taking the over. That 11.5 is a little bit sketchy. Dolphins did score some points last week going up against the New England Patriots. The Dolphins might be thinking, looking at this Buffalo Bills team, like, hey, we need to commit to running the ball. But the Dolphins have not been able to run the ball. They're averaging just 69.5 rushing yards per game. A-Chain does have 2 touchdowns in back-to-back games here. He has a touchdown in each of those games. And the Bills are allowing 169 rushing yards per game, which is 31st in the NFL. But that's kind of fluke because they faced Derrick Henry the first week, right? 238 yards on the ground in that game from Derrick Henry and the rest of the Baltimore Ravens. Bills' rush defense bounced back last week and only allowed 100 yards to the Jets. So I expect more of that this week, building upon that foundation that they sparked off against the Jets here. And Josh Allen didn't have to do much against the Jets, but he was incredible in that comeback in week 1 against the Ravens. 324 total yards, 4 total touchdowns. The Bills rushed for 224 yards as a team last week against the Jets.
I think looks good.
It looks great. I think that we're going to get a good marriage of a balanced attack here from Josh Allen and from James Cook. James Cook had 21 for 132 yards last week, 2 touchdowns. 5th game with 2 or more rushing touchdowns since 2024. That's tied for most in the NFL. Cook is also the only player in the NFL with 100 or more scrimmage yards and a rushing touchdown in each of his first 2 games to start 2025. And he also has a rushing touchdown in 6 straight regular season games. So when you put together that parlay that we're going to be doing here. James Cook, anytime touchdown, absolutely. He's going to score here. It's got the second longest streak in the NFL right now with those 6 straight games with a rushing touchdown. So that's definitely one there. Bills are looking to start 3-0 for the second straight season. This is consistency here. A lot of people have been talking about the head coach being on the hot seat and whatnot just because they can't get over the championship hump. But this is a guaranteed victory for me. Josh Allen is 7-0 as a starting quarterback in Thursday night football games. Give me the Bills. Give me the Bills to cover. Fuck it. I know it's 11.5. Give me the Bills to cover, and I'm taking the over.
All right, I can't take 11.5 is tough for me. So I'm gonna go Buffalo 31, Miami 23. So I think we're both in agreement that we're gonna go over. So we're gonna take the over in the parlay.
What was the exact number again?
50.5.
50.5. So you were going to go just over. Yeah, we're taking the over. Taking the over. James Cook, anytime touchdowns. Dude, Keon Coleman has been playing some really good football too, man. The week 1 matchup especially, I mean, really balled out. Keon Coleman's, definitely a guy to keep your eyes on here. I want him to transition into being the Bills' wide receiver 1. I think that'll be an amazing thing if you have Khalil Shakir as the wide receiver 2, kind of doing a little bit more damage in the middle of the field. So I like the over, yeah, most definitely.
All right, so we got James Cook anytime touchdown, and we got the over in this game. We'll add a few more. Make sure you guys are following us on Twitter at TimWalkOnWater2 and at Authentic. We will drop the full leg parlay for tonight's game on Twitter. We got close considering the outcome of that game last week. We were a little bit off on a couple of things. Obviously, the Commanders didn't play too well, but I was surprised because when it was getting down to the wire, I was like, damn, we're not too far off from cashing this parlay. And then just merit never got going, and the Commanders ended up fumbling away a chance to cover the spread late there by not converting on a couple of fourth downs. So, but yeah, 1-1 on our parlays through 2 weeks, and make sure you guys check us out on Twitter. We'll drop the full leg for the Thursday night same game parlay, official, Authentic, and the Beard sponsored.
Absolutely, man. We got a couple of super chats here. One from my dog, B-Rog.
Big shout out to B-Rog with a $10 super chat. Says, just because I like a rapid fire human soundbite.
Human sound bites. Those are the best.
I am literally, like, my entire life, ask Authentic. He's known me my entire life. I am a literal human sound bite.
The Beard's laugh when we were kids was very different than his laugh as an adult. Okay, the adult laugh is like a cat, 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 right? When we were kids, he used to have just a outburst laugh where he would just one quick outburst of just that literally was it back in the day. He's definitely transitioned into a totally different cat laugh now, so human sound bites have absolutely been a thing, man. Big shout out to my dog B-Rog helping us raise the bar over here on Authentic and the Beard.
Big shout out to Monique in the building when the 1999 says super chat, says 64-yard field gold. Purposeful play on words.
I like it. Monique in here dropping some bars on him one time. A couple little metaphors here. The 64-yard field goal. But I don't like that because that was against my team. So let's take that off the screen real quick. See you later, Monique. Catch you guys next week. Shout out Monique for helping us raise the bar one time. Good luck to your Dallas Cowboys in this matchup coming up this weekend, too. Should be a really good one. Beard, good show. Hour and 30 minutes. Clean. Any last words before we get the people up out of here? Nah, man, just
oh man, just we appreciate all the love and all the support. Shout out to everybody who's watching us across all the platforms. That is Twitter, Twitch, YouTube's. Thanks for rocking with your boys. Enjoy Thursday Night Football. Don't forget, follow us on Twitter where you guys can find the same game parlay. And it's going to be an interesting Sunday Night Football for Mr. Authentic. Long night.
Long night. We'll be on Bleach Report after the game at about midnight, recapping and giving my immediate reaction to the New York Giants' victory against the Kansas City Chiefs, trying to will that one into the universe here.
You know how we were talking about old man knees, right?
Yeah.
We really need to talk about old man Z's, okay? Because these doubleheader Monday night start kickoffs at 11 o'clock, and boxing matches, main events starting at I don't even know what time it started because I didn't
1
even
a.m.
make it.
Boxing is a little different, but for
this-
football,
but-
I don't
but-
mind it. Give me a 1 o'clock game. Listen, the more football, the merrier. We get boxing all year long, right? Football is only here from a good September to January.
Yeah, but
give me a mini
a little bit of a better stagger I would have been okay with. But
How's your sleep been as an old man? Are you sleeping deeper? Or are you waking up later? Are you waking up earlier with the baby now? What? Lack of sleep, bags under the eyes.
Everything is different. There's no telling what's going to happen. I'm usually up now around 7 a.m. I'm usually up by
Excuse me, 7
7
Seven.
a.m. 7 a.m.
7-11?
7 a.m. You know what I'm saying? Now the baby we've gotten the baby into a pretty good routine now, so he's pretty much sleeping through the night. The problem is that we have to put him to bed at midnight in order for him to sleep through the night.
So late bedtime.
Late bedtime.
That's my
right
bedtime.
now.
My phone gives a little jingle. What is the thing that sits over the baby's little carriage? Spins around. They having stars. And
They
shit
call
on
him
it.
a mobile.
Is that what it's called? I thought it was something a little easier than that. But my phone, gives a little ring like that, a little dun 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 dun. It lets me know it's time to get to bed. But that's just a warning because I'm normally up till about 3 a.m. I'll say.
Yeah,
2,
no, I
3
can't.
a.m.
Those days are long gone for me.
Yeah, it used to be 4 a.m. Now I've been getting some early night sleeps. Good 1 a.m. I'm knocked out in bed. We try to turn on a movie late, and I haven't made it through movies probably in the last 3-4 weeks, maybe months.
I got some good TV shows I'm watching and stuff like that, but yeah, I can't because I know I have to be up. I know I'm up at 7. There's no way I can be I'll just sleep in a little bit. There's a baby here, so I
gotta get up. Responsibilities, man.
So if I go to sleep at 3 o'clock and I'm up at 7, by the time it hits 2-3 o'clock, I'm if I don't get a nap, it's going to be the end of me by the end of the day. So.
Yeah, you need a good 4 hours at least. Good, you can operate off 4 hours. Anything underneath that can't operate. But big shout out to the gang, man. We appreciate y'all pulling up, rocking out with us today on the week 3 edition of the preview show. Definitely had a good time here. We'll see how things pan out for both of our teams and the rest of the NFC East teams moving forward, man. I think the Giants got a shot here on Sunday, and this is an important one. You can't lose this game. And for the Commanders here, you don't want to lose 2 back-to-back. It's gonna spell some trouble here, and I think a little bit of panic for the Commanders. So we shall see. I'm looking forward to enjoying my Thursday night football here with the Dolphins taking on the Bills and whatnot without too many responsibilities here. No NFC East team playing in that slot. So it should be a good vibe. But y'all know how we end every show over here on Authentic in the Beard. Keep raising that bar. Keep living those dreams because the universe flows in Technicolor and surround sound. And a life without dreams is a life in black and white. Rest in peace to the podcast GOAT and New York legend, Combat Jack. And that is a wrap. We will catch y'all possibly on Bleacher Report after Sunday night's matchup at midnight. If you want to stay up late, rock out with your boy Authentic. If not, we'll see y'all on Monday for the Giant Overreaction and Thursday for our next week's preview show entering week 4. Y'all stay blessed. Enjoy y'all Thursday night. Enjoy y'all weekend. We'll catch y'all on the flip side. Best of luck in all your fantasy leagues as well. Y'all be easy, man.
Peace.
Peace.
Spike don't care.